What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, back with another video. This is the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro long-term review. As you guys can see right here, this is the main camera that I've been using for my YouTube channel. I'm very obviously reliant on action cameras, therefore it's very important for me to choose the correct action camera that is something you all would like and is also easy and makes sense for me to use, with of course offering the best new technology on the market. Now, before I get into why this is the camera of my choosing and why I like it and all the details about that, before that, I want to show you guys my full setup. So in case you guys want to replicate my DJI Action 5 setup, I'm going to show you. And actually, for once, because I always tell you guys I have links in the description down below for all the attachments and everything, but I'll actively put every single part that is needed right here down below. So without further ado, let me give you guys a little walk around about all these attachments. Let's start with the basics, what you guys see right here. This is a DJI Osmo Action 5. And if you can see closely in the reflection, I'm actually filming with another DJI Osmo Action 5 because this is completely on auto settings. So I haven't tampered with any of the settings. I'm shooting at 4K, 60 frames per second, wide angle. Pretty much everything is on default, even the audio. I'm not using the DJI mic or anything because I want you guys to see how good this camera is completely with stock settings. Of course, when we switch to the motovlogging setup, these are going to be my settings, which will require editing in some software later on when you're working on your video. First thing that you guys can notice is that I have an ND filter on it. DJI makes it super easy for the ND filter to pop on and off, just like that. I like this setup in case I was riding during the day and then end up riding at night. I can literally just pop this off and then we're good. Before I continue showing you guys my motovlog setup, I would also like to show you a unique feature that the DJI has, and that is subject tracking and centering. So right now, I'm completely moving around. I have my camera set up against my motorcycle and I'm moving around with the subject tracking. Literally just prop my camera, use subject tracking, and it records up to 2.7K at 60 frames per second. So, rapid fire. Of course, we have the DJI Osmo Action 5. Then we also have my little, I don't know what you call this, like a little shoe mount or something like that. But the good news is, there's links that I'm going to be putting in the description, as I said, for not only this, but also these arms. Let's just say you wanted to look for your own. You can look up motorcycle helmet action camera attachments or mounts, and it should pop up and it should look something like this for it to clip on onto your chin mount, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then you have a couple arms depending on your helmet and setup. Then that way you can change it up and mess with the angle and all that. Of course, one of my favorite features, I remember when DJI had this, I was completely obsessed because it makes life so much easier. And that is the magnetic mount. As you guys can see, this is super easy, it just clicks, and that way I never really have to remove this. The only time I remove this is when I'm filming for you guys, so you guys can see all of this. When I need to take off the camera, all I have to do is, that's it, 2 buttons, click it off. And for those that are concerned at high speeds, let me just tell you, this has gone over 200 miles an hour on the helmet, on a close track, done by trained professionals, of course. Fear not, this will not fly off it's just impossible. I've tested it. There's 2 clips, and it's magnetic as well, so it's super easy. You hear it click, and now it's not going anywhere. So that's it. Camera, magnetic mount, that also comes with the camera, by the way, so you don't have to get it separately. And of course, you have your arms, which I told you guys about are separate, but will be linked and you can find them if you wanted to. And lastly, the ND filter, which is optional, but you know, that's what I use. This right here, I think some people ask about it in some of my videos. This is honestly just a little, like, it does absolutely nothing. It just, I think, looks a little bit better, so it's not exposed like this. It looks cleaner, completely for aesthetic reasons, but just to cover every single part that I have on my setup. And now we come to the helmet. We have the DJI lav mic, which is also offered by DJI. And that, my friends, is tucked right here behind my cheek pad. This is where the mic is. I tuck it behind the cheek pad and I put the dead cat on it too, to help with the wind noise, and it just keeps it kind of like tucked and safe right here in the cheek pad, a couple inches away from your mouth. So with the dead cat, it being a little bit tucked behind that cheek pad also helps with the wind noise. And you're gonna need an adapter. I am currently using this, which I will also link in the description down below. That's a beautiful thing about the DJI mic, the camera. I don't need no really expensive adapter such as other brands for it to work. I can literally use this universal adapter. I will link in the description down below, but you can also use DJI's mic adapter, which I'll also link in the description down below. It's preference, whichever ones you guys want to use. I had the DJI adapter, but my fault, I used it in the rain, and I think I messed up the adapter a little bit because it's obviously not waterproof, and it was like pouring rain and I was out filming with it. Now I'm using this little universal adapter, which is super easy. And the last thing is the chin mount. This is where your mounts onto it, which kind of holds your camera together and all that. And this is from Chin Mounts. I also have a link down in the description below. So that's it. That is literally your complete setup. Now that you guys have it and seen it, mount it up for you guys. There you go. All you gotta do is plug it right here, and boom, that is the complete setup that I use for motovlogging. Now you guys can completely replicate this. I do not mind, be my guest. You guys have seen me post almost 1,000 videos at this point, which is kind of crazy on this channel. So yeah, without further ado, now that you guys saw this, let me show you what this can do out there, and we'll talk a little bit about my settings, why I like this camera, and my final thoughts about it. Let's get to riding. I'm also very glad that I remembered last second to change my gain settings. If you guys don't know what that is, you can mess with the audio when a mic is plugged into your action cam, which is what I'm filming with right now. This was the setup that I was filming with before, with all the auto settings. This right here is all the manual settings that we'll talk about as soon as we start the ride. But yeah, another awesome feature about what I love about the Action 5 is that you can mess with your gain settings. So I set it currently at -7 because when we start the ride, it's going to be absolutely loud. So we don't want the audio to distort as much. And if it distorts, they can also reduce it even more. And if it's too quiet, you can also raise it. It would be a really cool thing for in the future, maybe DJI can work on that in the future, to have some sort of, I don't know, maybe an AI thing where it automatically adjusts the gain for you. I think that's the only thing that I think could be improved about this camera, because that's the only thing that is super hard for motovlogging is audio. As you guys can see, when we start this ride, it's going to be kind of tough because, you know, I'm talking to you guys in a helmet, and then you have the motorcycle sound, and they have the wind sound, and then when I'm out in public talking to other people, the mic is pretty far from them and it's pretty covered, so it's really hard to find a perfect balance. It's very extreme conditions, so I understand like why this is hard for action cameras to pull off. But I think if DJI incorporated some sort of AI where it just like controls how much audio instead of you setting it manual, I think that would be just perfect. Definitely miss this gorgeous bike. Cold day, man. All right, let's start all the way from the top. My settings currently for this camera, I'm shooting at 4K 60 frames per second. Now a lot of people would like to shoot at lower, say like 25 to 30 frames per second. That's because it gives you more of that motion blur, and it just feels like you're going faster. It gives you more of an immersive feel. For me personally, I shoot at 4K 60 because I do a lot of events where I go to car meets and stuff like that, and I usually take my thumbnails directly from my videos, just screenshot like a thumbnail instead of taking the whole picture, because everything is kind of real life for me. It's real life experiences and all that, so I like to capture something in the moment. And we have 4K 60 frames per second, obviously you have more frames and it's like less, it's just more clear, if that makes sense. So you won't get as much of kind of like the motion blur when if you're, let's say, moving and you want to capture a certain shot. That's why I shoot in 4K 60 frames per second. I am also shooting in super view, the widest angle possible, just because, you know, I'm on a motorcycle and I feel like I gotta capture as much as possible for you guys to see, you know, the widest view, because there's always a lot going on around. What I love about this camera is that the super view is actually very wide without really distorting the image. It doesn't give you that kind of like fisheye look when you're looking around. It just looks normal. Hello, Eurus. And a Bentley right here. Excuse me, coming through. Of course, the remainder of the stuff is under the Pro settings, which is super easy to find on the camera. That's another nice thing I like about it, is that it's super user-friendly and super just easy to use. And the brand new Action 5 also has 2 OLED screens, man. These are the screens that you see on like really high-end TVs. Let's stop for a second and appreciate the beauty of this thing in 4K. Now, instead of boring you guys to death talking about my settings, I'm just gonna list all of them right here on the screen for you guys, exactly every single part and what I have it set at. So you guys can pause the video, check it out if you're interested in copying my exact settings. Of course, these settings I color grade after, which is why I'm shooting in D-Log 10-bit, which is an awesome thing that this camera also offers, as well as a ton of other options based on what type of look you're going for. Okay, that's a sign that the bike wants to ride. Let's go. Let's get all that dirt and water off my tires. Alright, now that you guys have my full Motovlog setup and my settings, now I can talk about some of my favorite features of the DJI Osmo Action 5. First and foremost, by far, is reliability. This camera is the most reliable camera I've ever had, I've used. It never overheats. Not only that, it never overheats while shooting 4K in very extreme hot temperature conditions. Probably one of my next videos I'll do a comparison with either again with a GoPro or with all the top cameras in the industry currently. So not only this camera is reliable and can shoot 4K for up to double how long some of the other competitors can shoot at 4K at, it has literally the best battery life that I've ever tested, and that's one of the most important things for me, as you guys know, as a motovlogger. Just because everything is real, everything's on the fly, we just hit record and we want to go, and we don't want the camera to overheat because you don't have a visual of your setup all the time, so you just have to trust that the camera is recording and doing its job. Oh, how I've missed riding my Panigale V4R. Not only that, this camera's battery lasts super long periods of time, it's super fast at charging. Literally the first time I plugged this thing into the computer to charge it, I was shocked by how fast this thing got up to almost 100%. I decided to ride during sunset on purpose just to show you guys. This camera also has some of the best image quality as well as low light quality, which hopefully we will be testing as we're on the way back. It should be getting darker very soon. And now we're going from outside sunset time to inside the garage. I'm showing you guys a very wide range of different scenarios, from, you know, sunny to sunset to in the shadow to all the way inside of a parking structure that is extremely dark while still having my ND filter and not changing any of the settings, just to show you guys how powerful this camera is. Because as a motovlogger, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I want something that is as efficient and as easy to use as possible. I just want it to have on certain settings. I don't want to have to change settings every time the lighting changes and all of that. Obviously, if you want to perfect it, that is kind of the way to go. But I personally prefer to have something that is just extremely easy to use while still getting top tier quality. That looks like someone is practicing how to ride a motorcycle over there. The last feature that is improved from the older generations that I also love about this camera is the quick capture. All I have to do is click the record button while the camera is off, and within like a split second it starts recording and everything is just like perfect as it should be. Oh man, this bike got filthy in these conditions. She's gonna need a good wipe down when we go back. So there you guys have it. These are my top features that I like about this thing, just to quickly rapid fire through them. I like how durable this camera is. Hot temperatures, cold temperatures, it just does what it needs to do. It doesn't crash, it doesn't overheat. The best battery life in the industry, very fast charging, very easy quick capture, and super user friendly while using the camera and setting it up to your preference. Alright, I wasted a little bit of time here so the sun can set a little bit lower, and got some fun footage for Instagram. Check out my Instagram if you guys are interested in checking out more recent, more cinematic stuff over there. But now it's time to ride this beauty back, and I'll give you guys my final thoughts about the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. As I was last telling you guys, the DJI has industry-leading, super low light performance, shooting at 4K 60 frames per second to capture some of the best nighttime footage possible on an action camera. Since I was telling you guys that this is my long review on the DJI Osmo Action 5, after I've been using it for a decent amount of time,
I gotta of course talk about a couple negatives that I have. One we mentioned briefly is the audio. As I said, this is very extreme audio conditions, so it's not truly a negative thing, but something that I picked up on that could be still improved, and that every camera, action camera, lacks when it comes to motovlogging. The other thing that I wanted to mention is also the mic issue that I had with my last camera. The issue that I had is that my camera, so when you connect your microphone into it, which was a camera that I shot the start of this video with actually, when you connect the mic into it, I think it had some sort of hardware issue where the mic wouldn't actually connect, and therefore like my audio of course wasn't clear because the mic wasn't connected. That being said, the beautiful thing about DJI is that I have top tier customer service. So any issue that you have with the product, if it's something that is defective with the camera, they're right on top of it and they'll get you sorted out. That's the thing that I love about DJI, is that I have top tier products, so they stand by it and they believe in the durability of their products. So there you guys have it. This is a full long format, talked about everything I could think about. Let me know down in the comments below if I make another comparison, what you guys would like to see more info about this. But I mentioned everything from my setup to the settings to my favorite features and the new improved features of this camera. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Click the top link in the description down below. Get yourself the Osmo Action 5. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and ride safe.